Our last summative project of the year is going to be a memoir project. As this is traditionally a senior level course, I'm calling this the Senior Memoir Project. If you're a junior and you're accelerated, you're still doing the same project, you're just not a senior. So in the next 5 weeks of this semester, you are going to think about the moments you have experienced in your last 4 years of high school. Many of you actually said that you were interested in finishing the year with more narrative and creative writing, and lucky for you, I already had this project in mind. So you'll be reflecting on the last 4 years of high school now as you go off into this next journey of your life, and I'm going to give you ideas for things that you can write about in your own memoir. A memoir, by definition, is a nonfiction text that one writes about their own life. So you're going to write about your life. This senior memoir project will be due at the very end of the semester. However, you will be writing chapters each week. So my goal is to try to have you write this project in smaller chunks, and I will be giving you formative assessment grades on those smaller chunks. So the final memoir project that you submit to me for the summative grade can either be a hard copy or it can be digital. Most of you will likely go digital. However, I think it could be a really cool opportunity to do this by hand since we spend every waking minute on our computers and our devices right now. So if you decide to go with the hard copy option, which is what I used to require previous to COVID and the pandemic style of teaching, you will create a scrapbook or 3-ring binder. You'll do this by hand. You can still, of course, type the written components, but you would want to print them out and then essentially create the memoir as a hard copy. However, because of the nature of the school year, you will have to submit your hard copy memoir digitally, which is a bummer. So just like we did with the Unfamiliar Genre project, you will need to take a picture of each page of your project and upload it as one PDF to Teams. You are not going to upload 60 pages that I have to click on individually to Teams. Rather, I will help you and offer you ideas for apps that you can use on your phone to take a bunch of pictures and create a single PDF. The other option is digital. It's your responsibility, however, to ensure that the digital website or platform that you use can both be submitted to me on Teams, that I can access it on Teams, that it's not just for paid subscribers only. And you need to make sure, obviously, that it works for you. And so some options that I've had students use in the past are Canva, Visme, and Book Creator, but you'll want to play with these before starting your project. Make sure that they're free, make sure that you can download your work at the end of this, and make sure you can share it to me. That's your responsibility. Each chapter of your memoir book should include a chapter title, and each chapter should be between 300 and 500 words. If it's under 300, that's a problem. If it's over 500, that's a problem. Each chapter should consist of multiple paragraphs. You guys, for some reason, don't organize your writing in paragraphs. One giant paragraph is so hard to follow as a reader. So you need to organize your ideas, split into multiple paragraphs based on whatever makes sense for you as the writer. You guys should use the narrative techniques that we've learned this year in this class. We've learned about imagery, we've learned about foreshadowing, dialogue, flashback. We've learned about different stylistic devices that you can use in narratives. So use those. You might have to go back to your notes from the beginning of the year, but you should incorporate those in your own writing. If you feel like any of these chapters that I'm about to introduce to you are not doable for you, that's totally fine, but you need to consult with me first before changing anything, Okay, I'm fine if you want to mix it up or if one of these chapters is not applicable to you, but you can't just do it. Please run it by me first. Make sure that you proofread your work. This is a writing class, so obviously if you have typos and grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes, that's going to be a problem, and I'm going to be fairly harsh in the grading of these mistakes because this is a writing class and because we have spent 7 months together working on improving our writing. In addition to writing your chapters, you need to include visual images somehow. If you want to ask your parents for help to find pictures of yourself as a small child, great. If you love drawing, then this could be a cool opportunity for you to do the hard copy version and draw creative images for each chapter. Whatever you decide to do, it should be creative, should be visually appealing, it should be original. So Googling pictures and copy and pasting isn't original, in my opinion. It's just not. So you need to be creative and make sure that the images or creative artistic elements that you include for each page enhance the chapter. If I'm writing a chapter all about my childhood home, I shouldn't have pictures of I don't know, food or school. I should have pictures of the home. Okay. So what are you guys going to write about? Well, here are your chapter topics and your deadlines. First, you're going to create a table of contents because every good memoir has a table of contents. Okay. Table of contents just includes the chapter title and the page that I can find that information on. The table of contents should be really easy. Chapter 1, you're going to start out with the chapter title of Who Am I? And this is some context, really. Before I jump into reading your entire memoir book all about your life, give me some context. What were your goals? How did you hope to achieve them? Where do you live? Who are you? What is your name? And you'll see that these two first items, there's a suggested deadline here for Friday, the 16th of April. You will submit to me on the 16th these two items for a formative completion grade. If you do them and they're complete and they look like you put in effort, you'll do well in the formative grade. Chapter 2, before I was, there were, ... So this one's pretty open. Before you were you, talk about people who came before you or people who have helped make you you. Okay, suggested deadline, I encourage you to get that done by Tuesday the 20th. Chapter 3 is called Growing Pains. You're going to reflect on elementary school, middle school, those years that are just really formative, meaning that they shape who you are. For most people, those are pretty rough years. For some people, you guys get lucky and that's a smooth time in your life. So experience those growing pains, those moments in life that were maybe difficult or at least that shaped you, elementary and middle school. Chapter 4, I grew up here. You're going to talk about where you grew up. Could be the house you grew up in that maybe shaped you and made you who you are, the neighborhood, the town, the city. It might be one place, it might be several. The suggested deadline for chapters 2, 3, and 4 are all Tuesday the 20th. These suggested deadlines are here to help you so that you don't fall behind. But you'll see that I am not collecting anything on the 20th. Chapters 5 and 6 are about love. Yay, chapter 5 is your first love. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be, but it could be a game that you fell in love with, a hobby. Maybe you discovered your passion, a sports team, a book, a genre of literature. Whatever it is, describe the thing that you fell in love with first. Chapter 6, I'm really in love this time. Now perhaps you're going to write about your first serious romance. It should be appropriate for my eyeballs. But it should be detailed because the first time that you fall in love or that you fall in like, whatever, is a big deal in your lives. And most of you have probably experienced this. If you have not experienced this, that's totally fine. That's normal. Perhaps you have a different idea for this chapter that you can run by me, and we can switch it up. Another formative checkpoint assessment, you're going to submit chapters 2 through 6 to me on the 22nd. So again, I have suggested deadlines on here for you to try to keep you on pace. But on the 22nd, you'll submit 2 through 6 to me as a completion grade. Chapter 7, let's take a vacation. Talk about a trip that you took at some point in your life that was memorable, that shaped you, that helped you grow, that maybe, was a little bit more difficult for you, that now looking back, you realize that you grew from in hindsight. Suggested deadline is Monday the 26th. Chapter 8, now you're going to look at high school. You're going to look at your early years in high school, so previous to this year. What were some good moments? What were some challenging moments, successes, heartbreaks, friends that you made, teachers that you got along with, maybe that you didn't get along with? And again, the 26th is your suggested deadline for chapters 7 and 8. Chapter 9, at last I'm a senior. During this last year, golly, especially for you guys, you have this moment where you realize that life is about to change significantly. This year has been particularly challenging. You guys have not had a traditional senior year. And you probably won't have a traditional year next year either. However, high school is about to be done for you. And many of you are excited about this to get the heck out of here. But you'll notice pretty quick as you continue to age and mature that you should have appreciated those moments while you had them. I know I'm an old person telling you that in hindsight, but man, with every chapter of your life, things get a little bit more complicated and difficult. So reflect on high school. Things are about to change for you. So reflect on your feelings about the fact that things are about to change. And chapter 10, a letter to yourself. You're going to write yourself a letter. We've practiced with letter writing this year as much as you all have hated doing that. So you're going to write a letter to yourself again. And in this letter, you are going to try to motivate yourself both by looking at the past and thinking about your future. Things are probably going to be difficult for you, whether you're college bound, career bound, whatever. Life is about to get a little bit more difficult for most of you because change can sometimes be hard. So write yourself a letter thinking about the last however many years and also looking towards your future. Again, suggested deadlines for these are Wednesday the 28th, but I'm not collecting anything on Wednesday the 28th because your summative will be due on Sunday, May 2nd. This might get bumped, but I've already pushed it as far as possible. Notice that it's due on a Sunday and not a weekday because I'm trying to give you as many days as possible to get this done, while also I need to grade it before the end of the semester. So I'm trying to give myself some grading time as well. The summative assessment is the full product. It's not just the written out chapters that you've submitted as formative grades. Rather, the summative is the full product, the book with the creative elements. So if you do not stay on target with each of these chapters, you're going to be in for a heck of a ride when you're trying to get your summative created and put together. Okay, so try to stick with these deadlines. To try to make your life easier, I also included all of the deadlines here in this timeline. Notice that obviously there are 3 required submissions. The first 2 are formative. The last one, of course, is summative. But I provide these other dates for you as suggestions because I'm trying to help you stay balanced, especially with the senioritis that's going to be in rare form at this point. Here is the rubric. You should probably read this before you submit your summative, even though I know you're burned out and you probably don't care as much as you should about this grade. I'll be grading you guys on a couple of things. Requirements, did you follow all those requirements that I just explained? Visual appeal, I'm looking at the artistic elements, the neatly presented work. Written chapters, there's a lot going on here. It's 40%, so read that, please. And grammar, syntax, of course.